Mike Branos for the Coach Speak Index. What is up? What's going on out there? All you scallywags. I'm not saying everyone is a scallywag. I'm saying the ones of you who are scallywags, what's up? Is scallywag, is that above or below rascal? Which one is worse? I feel like scallywag is worse. What's up, all you rascals? How about that? Sounds a little bit... Rascal can be fun. Three of my top 4 favorite films are about rascals. The Master, The 400 Blows, The Wolf of Wall Street. I can't remember my 4th favorite right now. I know 12 Angry Men used to be up there. But, it's Moneyball. Moneyball moved up into the top 4 recently after about the, 12th, 13th rewatch, like full rewatch, not just background film. Great stuff. All right, week 8. Week 8 is here. About to kick off tonight. Week 8 is rough on yours truly because there are no bye weeks in week 8, which means pretty much every day, 32 press conferences to watch. It was real nice starting in week 5 when, all right, here come the bye weeks, and man, it gets really nice. There's some weeks where 4 teams are on bye. Only have to watch 28 press conferences. And then, I think a couple weeks where, maybe 1 week where I think there's like 6 teams on bye. Only have to watch 26 press conferences. It feels like vacation in Cabo. Got Sydney Sweeney feeding me peeled grapes. Every once in a while, she feeds me the peels from the grapes as a cute little prank, and we laugh. Not in week 8, though. Week 8, we are from wake up to go to bed. It's all pressers, baby. Tonight, we get the Student versus the Master. Kevin O'Connell's Vikings taking on Sean McVay's Los Angeles Rams. There have been some... Well, Sean McVay was asked about Cooper Kupp this week. Said that he expects him to play. But talking about workload, it was kind of undetermined on that. And, McVay didn't know a couple games ago, or a few days ago when he was asked about it, said that we're working through that. And then we have all these trade rumors, or we get reports that the Rams are shopping Cooper Kupp. So it's never a fun sweat to go against Cooper Kupp, but I've done it. I've put it on the record, put it out there, and on Underdog Fantasy right now. The other day, I said that I liked Cooper Kupp less than 69.5 receiving yards. Living dangerously. Never has there been a less fun sweat, but again, we don't know what the workload will be. We do know Sean McVay values return to performance over return to play. So if Kupp is ready to go, I'd expect a decent workload, but I don't know if it's going to be a full workload. Also, if the Vikings get out to a big lead against the Rams, who are 2-4, and then they see that their season is slipping away, They're not going to be able to make a comeback in this game. I would expect that Cooper Kupp, who is coming off this ankle injury, who is in the middle of these trade talks and speculation, would not be the smartest thing to have him out there in the second half if they're getting beaten down. So, yeah, living dangerously. Cooper Kupp less than 69.5 receiving yards. And you can find Cooper Kupp's receiving yards and all kinds of other numbers and things and players on Underdog Fantasy, which is the best site for fantasy and pick'ems. And you can sign up on Underdog with promo code CoachSpeak to claim a first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash plus a free pick. Before we get to the clips, let's do a few of the injuries. Colts head coach Shane Steichen had ruled Jonathan Taylor out for week 7 last week, but he did add this at that point, saying he's very close. I'll say that. He's very close. Steichen has an 80% reliability rating on injury coach speak. And then this week he said that he is optimistic about Jonathan Taylor. So I would expect him back probably this week. Rams head coach Sean McVay said that Cooper Kupp was close, just like I mentioned here a couple minutes ago, but it's about return to performance over return to play for the Rams. And hopefully Thursday will represent that for us. Sean McVay has a 90% reliability rating on injury coach speak. I expect Cooper Kupp to return on Thursday. He is off of the injury report. And Lions head coach Dan Campbell said that David Montgomery's knee injury is not considered a long-term issue. Campbell has a 90% reliability rating on injury coach speak, so we believe him. And then head coach Dan Quinn called Jaden Daniels week to week with his rib injury. Quinn has an 85% reliability rating on injury coach speak. I expect Jaden Daniels back in the near future. I don't love that Quinn said it's not something that's going to knock him out long term. I mean, I like that it's not going to knock him out long term, but saying that, using that phrasing, kind of intimates that this is something that will knock him out for a period of time. So maybe Jaden Daniels misses a game with this. Hopefully not. All right, let's start off with quarterbacks. We have one clip here. And this is Tennessee Titans head coach Brian Callahan saying that, guys, Will Levis's shoulder injury, it's real. Believe me.
What Will was limited on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thursday, limited. And what went into the up and down, and then also for the last week, he did play.
Yeah. So here's how this happened. He comes off. We came off the bye week and 10 days rest. Started practice that week, getting ready for Indianapolis. Felt like he was good enough to go. Everything in practice seemed like it was good. It felt kind of fresh because he came off the rest. Ended up feeling it towards the end of the game on a couple of those throws. It's hard to simulate what that feels like with pressure in your face and having to make that throw. Came out of the game and it bothered him, and then you take a whole load of a game, and then try to come right back on Wednesday and play again. And he felt it. It was sore. It hurt. His mechanics were not where they needed to be. His arm strength felt weakened. He didn't feel great. So we limited him on Wednesday. Tried to see if he'd come back on Thursday and go. Went full Thursday with pads on. I had him try every throw that we could possibly throw. Every downfield throw all over the place on practice, and came out of that practice and it didn't feel great. And then we went limited again on Friday, and that was when we just made the decision to go with Mason. So the injury's real. He tried to fight through it. I appreciate the toughness and the willingness. But felt good coming off the break, felt good last week, and then as the game went along, and he ended up feeling what it felt like with pressure to make the throw, it didn't feel as good as he maybe thought he did going into it. So made the decision, it's my decision to sit him, just because I didn't feel like he could play at the level he needed to play to come in here and win in Buffalo. So That's usually how those injuries go, and he tried to fight through it, and ultimately I decided that it wasn't in his best interest to go out there if he wasn't all the way healthy.
What is his status?
Yeah, it'll be week to week. We'll see how he feels this week, see how he throws it Wednesday. But really the problem with AC, those injuries in his shoulder is they just need rest. And he tried to fight through it. Again, I appreciate that. Try to fight for his teammates and come play, but at the end of the day, those things just need some rest, and right now that was the right decision for him. So it'll be week to week, and we'll see how he comes out of it.
Okay, so there's the explanation on why Levis played with a shoulder injury, and then all of a sudden he is out with a shoulder injury. Callahan called him week to week. Some people thought that this was a quiet benching of Will Levis. I don't believe that. First of all, Mason Rudolph is not good. And Will Levis, like we've talked about before, has had some really, really terrible turnovers. Like truly awful, memeable stuff. We've seen the memes. But other than those few really, really bad turnovers, he has looked pretty decent. So if he can cut down on those, we know that the Titans, this year for them, 2024, is about evaluating Will Levis. They came into the season. Brian Callahan talked about this October 21st, saying everything about what we were hoping to get out of the season was a really solid and concrete evaluation of Will as a starting quarterback. They want to know if this is the guy. I think it's becoming clear to them that this is not the guy, and the Titans may have a pretty high draft pick after this season. And I think that Brian Callahan can't wait to get a new QB. But in the meantime, Mason Rudolph, not much better. So Callahan has talked about how they need to play better around Will Levis and around Mason Rudolph when Rudolph is in that offensive line. And the receivers, which are now missing DeAndre Hopkins, who was traded to the Chiefs. Not the best environment for a quarterback here. But that being said, feel like we might be getting enough context here on Will Levis to say, yeah, this is not a quarterback. This is not a franchise quarterback. This is not a QB who will lead you to the Super Bowl. Running backs. This is Saints head coach Dennis Allen on his favorite player, Kendre Miller.
Was Kendre Miller on a snap count in this game, and what did you think he was?
I thought he played well. I thought the plays, when we handed him the ball, I thought he did some good things. I wish we would have caught the one ball over the middle. But I was impressed with what I saw out of Kendre. I think that's a guy that can help us.
Dennis Allen cannot help himself saying nice things about Kendre Miller, but had to slip in there that he should have caught that ball over the middle. At least we're getting compliment sandwiches from Dennis Allen on Kendre Miller. And it's not the negative sandwiches we were getting before where it's, well, honestly, it wasn't even like negative, positive sandwiched in between another negative. It was really just negative, like a negative casserole. All unseemly ingredients. Yeah, I mean, with Kendre Miller, the problem is that Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator, says, hey, we want to give the ball to Alvin Kamara as much as we can, as much as possible. And he'll get his breathers and whatnot, but it's going to be mainly Alvin. And then we have Taysom Hill coming back, who, in yesterday's press conference, Dennis Allen, of course, once again saying, I don't think there's another player in the NFL like Taysom Hill. who can do all the things that he can do. What a great player this guy is. So when we get down to the goal line, we get in the red zone area, that's Alvin Kamara, it's Taysom Hill. It's all guys not named Kendre Miller. But if something were to happen to Kamara, if he breaks down or gets injured, whatever, Kendre Miller, the guy to have here. He does fit in really well in a Clint Kubiak system. Played 29% of offensive snaps in week 7. He's a pretty decent player. He's someone who, if he gets a big opportunity, again, if something were to happen to Kamara, Kendre Miller will likely be a weekly starter for you. He could do well in this offense. Even though he did drop that one ball, he does have hands. He can catch the ball. He's a good pass catcher. We saw that last season on that big, I think it was like a wheel route or something, or maybe it was just like split out wide. But nice big touchdown grab last season. So we know he's capable. Let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks running back, Kenneth Walker. And we will let Mike McDonald, their head coach, take it away.
Yeah, Mike, can you kind of reflect on Ken's performance yesterday, given how he was feeling and everything, and when you watched it back and saw the effort he was able to kind of give you, what he was able to do for you yesterday?
Yeah, he was a warrior, man. I know I know he wasn't feeling well, and that probably doesn't even do it justice. Again, I don't know what he had, but he gutted through it, and he played his tail off. I mean, some of the plays that he made, even the touchdowns that get called back on the holding call, he's a difference maker for us, and we want to get the ball in his hands as much as possible in the pass game and the run game. And so when he's out there, it makes a difference. And so for him to be able to kind of put the team first and gut through it was big for us.
We want to get the ball in his hands as much as possible. Yeah. This is clearly Kenneth Walker's backfield. He's special. He is elite. He is really the only guy that they talk about in this backfield. They do like Charbonnet, but not at the expense of Kenneth Walker. He's just different. And he was a Coach Speak Index flag plant, and he is absolutely smashing. And a big part of that is all of the receiving work that he's getting that Ryan Grubb talked about this past offseason. He's a 3-down back. He's electric out in the backfield. And that's what we're seeing. 23 receptions in 5 games, 160 yards and a touchdown through the air. Pretty good. Pretty good for a guy who everyone said can't catch the ball. And it's not just cheap stuff. Had a really, really nice grab last week. Let's talk about another exciting young running back here. And this was before week 7. The week 7 game, by the way. This is New York Giants head coach Brian Daboll talking about their rookie running back Tyrone Tracy Jr.
With the running back position, with Devin coming back, how much has Tyrone Tracy earned more playing time than he had before?
Yeah, he's earned it. He's done a good job, so he'll get plenty of playing time. Motor, we'll see how the game's going and how it transpires, but Motor will play, Tracy will play, Greg will play. We'll use all 3 of those guys.
All right. So Tyrone Tracy in week 7, it was very good for him. Now, Devin Singletary was coming off the groin injury. So we don't know exactly how much that played into the usage here. But Tyrone Tracy, 67% of offensive snaps he played on. And also owned a 68% route participation. Once we get further out, another week away from this Devin Singletary injury, if these numbers hold up, it's a changing of the guard. It's a complete and total flippening here, which could make sense. I mean, we know how much Brian Daboll likes Devin Singletary, Motor, as he refers to him. He's not the only one who refers to him. D'Amico Ryans did as well. But Daboll had him in Buffalo, brought him to New York. He was the replacement for Saquon. We all saw in Hard Knocks. Might not be able to keep Saquon. Who were guys we would want? Devin Singletary. But Tyrone Tracy is legit. And Brian Daboll, even though we have this report that Giants ownership saying Brian Daboll, general manager Joe Shane, they're safe for 2025. Brian Daboll is on the hot seat. He's got to win games, and he has to play the players that give him the best chance to win games. And I think that's Tyrone Tracy. Good running back, good receiver, obviously, converted from receiver to running back. And he's getting work on the ground, through the air. Guy just looks good. Singletary, a fine enough running back in his own right. Little underrated. Little better than average. But Tyrone Tracy, I think, just is on a little higher level. And he'll give them the best chance to win. And that is what Brian Daboll needs right now. Head to Tampa Bay. Their ever-changing backfield. Todd Bowles said, three-headed monster. So here's this clip before Week 7. Oh, by the way, Brian Daboll, 80% reliability rating on usage and workload coach speak. That is a small sample size. But when he says that Tyrone Tracy has earned it, he's done a good job, he'll get plenty of playing time. That was before Week 7. We saw all the playing time Tracy got in Week 7. And again, another week removed from the groin injury for Devin Singletary. If those numbers hold up for Tyrone Tracy, yeah, that's very big. Okay, back to Tampa. Todd Bowles says we're going to need all three of these guys. Here he is.
What's your plan going forward? I mean, when you have such a great game from Tucker, and obviously your rookie, is it to stick with them? I know Rashad, if he's up, obviously can help you, but you'd be remiss not to just try to run it back and have those two go at it.
We're going to need all three of them. All three are good football players, and all three will play when they're all healthy. And, as the game goes, we'll go with the hot hand and see who's running what style and how it fits the game and go with that guy.
Also before Week 7, before we talk about this, backfield, this is offensive coordinator Liam Cohen saying that all three of these guys are going to get a series, and then we'll see how it shakes out from there.
You guys ran the ball as well as they've run it here in a very long time, and you did it with, a running back, Sean Tucker, that we haven't seen much of. I know you had. Is there any way that you would not envision just riding the Buck and Tuck show as hard as you can for the rest of
Nah, I mean, I think this is a long season, right? And obviously, Sean stepped up in a critical moment for us in a big game, and obviously displayed a lot of things that we have seen in practice, but a lot of things we haven't been able to see because of the not being able to tackle, right? And so, he did a fantastic job of breaking tackles and running hard. And this is a long season. We're going to need all three of those guys to really carry us for the rest of the season. So. All guys are going to play. They're going to get his, reps, and at the end of the day, whoever's given us the best opportunity to win throughout that game will probably get the majority of the carries. And you guys know that the running back position, as we've already seen, is pretty volatile. Those guys take probably some of the more vicious hits than anybody. So long year, need all three of them to be at their best in order for us to, continue that running success.
Said though from this podium that it's really difficult to get two guys the ball,
It
much
is.
less three.
It is.
From a game planning standpoint,
Yeah.
don't necessarily go into it thinking you're getting all three going. Right?
No, I mean, you got to get all three of them a series early on. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what it's going to have to be, is all three of those guys are going to get a series, and really kind of whoever's, giving us the best opportunity. And this is a game that we're going to need to break tackles and need to run violently. So whoever's giving us that, we'll be able to ride that.
And that's what the Bucs did. Rachaad White got the first series. Bucky Irving got the second. Sean Tucker got the third, at least in terms of who came out on first down for those series. A really funny thing here is that they use this pony personnel, these two running backs formation. So, while it's, Rachaad White gets the first series. Well, Bucky Irving also out there. And then, Rachaad White comes in on passing downs on Bucky Irving's series. And just very, very interesting how it kind of all shook out with this pony personnel stuff included. But people leading up to week 7, and we had heard from Todd Bowles saying, we're going to ride the hot hand, and Liam Cohen saying hot hand, and both of them saying this is a three-headed monster now. We're going to see all three guys. And the way that these questions were framed was, why don't you just go with Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker now? Because they seem to be your best running backs. And then, of course, it's Rachaad White who leads this backfield in week 7. 10 rushes, 40 yards. Most importantly, 6 receptions for 71 yards and 2 touchdowns. The offensive snap percentages went Rachaad White 48%, Bucky Irving 35%, Sean Tucker 20%. It's like we discussed before, where Rachaad White gets all this receiving work. He's their passing down back. He's their best pass protector. He's a guy that they like to get out in space and throwing the ball on these screens and out on the perimeter. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it before, how it seems like every single game, Rachaad White gets like a 20 or 30 yard reception out near the sideline. He's going to be involved all the time. Every week, he'll be involved. Seems like he's still their RB1. He started the first series. He got the most snaps. And these other running backs here are game script sensitive. Because, again, Rachaad White's getting all this passing work. When the Bucs are down, it's more Rachaad White in there. When we see the Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker, it's later in the game, when it's a close game, or the Bucs have a lead, trying to salt away that lead. Dangerous game to trying to okay, this week, Bucky Irving. This week, Sean Tucker week. Finally, for running back, Jacksonville. This was after their game against the Patriots in London. Travis Etienne suffered a hamstring injury. He's week to week. But here is Doug Peterson on whether Tank Bigsby will replace Travis Etienne as running back 1.
Coach, you mentioned the dominant running game today. With Tank's performance in particular, when Travis comes back from his injury, is that a position where Tank may be taking the majority of reps going forward and might be RB1?
I don't think so. I'm not a believer where, or I should say I'm a believer where injury doesn't replace your position, right? I think you have to have a fair competition. For us, we're blessed to have 2 really good running backs right now. And when Etienne comes back, he's just as explosive, just as good, just as powerful. And it's still his job, but Tank has done some really good things. And obviously we're going to continue to find ways to put the ball in his hands too, because he's a little different runner than Etienne is.
Yeah, so Etienne misses this game. Tank Bigsby, 26 carries for 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. Patriots, once again, really, really terrible on the ground, just giving up chunk plays every run, it seemed. And there was this concern coming into the game about, well, D'Ernest Johnson played so much more than Tank Bigsby the week before. And we talked about how that was because of game script and not, probably shouldn't worry about it as much in this game because the Jags were nearly touchdown favorites. And they fall in a 10-0 hole. Then they come back, and it's the Tank Bigsby show. And Brian Thomas. But on the ground, it's Tank Bigsby. Couple things here on this situation of will Tank Bigsby replace Travis Etienne on the depth chart. So Doug Peterson has a 35% reliability rating on depth chart coach speak. So can't trust him when he says it's still Etienne's job. He's the guy. And Tank Bigsby has been much better than Travis Etienne. It's inarguable how he has outperformed him on the ground. But we know that the Jags do not trust Tank Bigsby in passing situations. We saw that a couple weeks ago. They get down big. He's not on the field. And he got 1 target this past week, and it went just like his 23 targets went without the pick 6. But just really bad drop. And they don't dare really put him on the field in these situations or throw him targets because he just freaks out. He's like a rescue dog. He needs a thunder shirt. We need a Tank Bigsby thunder shirt out there, so he won't freak out when the ball comes his way in the passing game. I need to pull something up. Yeah, he has 1 reception this season on 2 targets. They do not trust him in the pass game. They want him on the sidelines. They want him on the bench. They want him in the stand. They want him in a different city when they're throwing the ball. So here's the big problem for Tank Bigsby. And it can't be understated how big of a problem this is for him. If you have him in fantasy, I really think you should sell him. But Greg, Doug Peterson, 35% reliability rating. This means that Tank Bigsby is more likely to become the RB1. Well, okay, but, and again, this is a similar situation to Brian Dable, where Doug Peterson is so firmly on the hot seat. His ass has 4th degree burns right now. We've added a new degree of burn for how hot Doug Peterson's ass is. Clip it. Clip that. But here's the really big problem with Tank Bigsby. This is the remaining schedule for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I did say Jaguars, not Jaguars, people. You Jaguars people drive me crazy. Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars. How about that? How about a third pronunciation you weren't expecting? What if that's the right one? We're saying Jaguars, Jaguars. It's actually the British pronunciation, Jaguar. Jaguar. No, that's French. Jaguar. Watch Nicholas Hoult, the actor, does Jaguar commercials, and it's such a perfect pronunciation. Once you hear it, you'll never go back. The Jacksonville Jaguars remaining schedule. The Green Bay Packers, Philadelphia Eagles, Minnesota Vikings, Detroit Lions, Houston Texans, Tennessee Titans, Jets, Raiders, Titans. Now, Jets, people have run on them. Raiders, people have run on them. All those other teams, very solid. And it's not just about the run defenses for those teams, but these are really good offensive teams. These are teams who will all be favored against the Tennessee Titans. And there will be some big favorites against the Titans in these games. I mean, this week. Sorry, the Jaguars, not the Titans. This week, but those teams were correct, though. I wasn't looking at the Titans' schedule. I was looking at the Jaguars' schedule. This week, Packers at Jaguars. Packers are a 4-point favorite. So that's fine enough. But we know the situation the Jaguars are in. They have a decent roster. They're really terrible coaching. They're in a bad spot. And that defense, not very good. I mean, they're playing teams that are going to put up a lot of points on them. What I'm saying is, in the longest roundabout way possible, I hope you're listening to this podcast on 2x speed. But the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be losing games by multiple scores in many weeks remaining in this NFL season, in this fantasy season. And when that occurs, Tank Bigsby is not going to be out on the field. So he is a very, very volatile play. He'll be good/fine when the game is close or they're winning, but we can't predict when that is going to be. This is kind of a nightmare for redraft. There's no game until week 15 or 16 where I'd feel comfortable playing Tank Bigsby. I'm out. Wide receivers will begin in New England. In last week's show, we heard head coach Gerard Mayo just kind of bury rookie wide receiver Jalen Polk. Alex Van Pelt, the offensive coordinator for the Patriots, had something to say about Polk before the Week 7 game, and it was a little bit rosier than what Gerard Mayo had to say.
Coach, Jalen Polk, Gerard was saying earlier this week that he kind of has to get over a mental hump. Do you see it that same way with Jalen? What's he have to do to get over that mental hump and start getting kind of?
Yeah, I think success always gets you over that. You know, he had a couple drops in the game, uncharacteristic of him. You know, he's a rookie. You know, they're all young guys right now. Just got to figure a way to overcome that and you know, get back to focusing on what he can do well, and that's a lot of things. So a lot of times you put a lot of pressure on these young guys when they come into play, especially right away as a rookie. And you know, he needs to understand that we're asking him to do that because he can't do it. And I think you know, as he has success moving forward, he'll, you know, the drops will. I don't see that as an issue. But it's tough. You know, it's hard for any rookie to come in, and we put a lot on him. We ask him to do a lot, highlight him a lot as the number one in our progressions. So there's a lot on his plate right now. So finding ways to spread that responsibility around to other guys, you know, maybe lighten the load on him a little bit. But he's going to make plays for us as the year goes on. There's no question in my mind.
And Coach, kind of adding to that, Jalen Polk mentioned that I think it was something about he doesn't feel like he's got limited, in what he can do. I know he's been playing a lot of X, and pre-draft he seemed more like a Z slot kind of guy. So I was wondering, from your perspective, why has he kind of been in that role, and is that something that you see for him long term?
We're trying to find the best guys we can put out there right now, the three guys that work best together, and that combination, just like the O-line, could change week to week positionally as well. Thought he'd give us the best chance at X to win in one-on-one matchups. Especially in the 3-by-1 sets when you're isolated on the weak side. But he can do great things in the slot as well, the Z as well. He's a very smart guy. He can play multiple positions. So for us as a staff, it's just trying to find the pieces and which ones work best together and how to use those guys with their skill sets in mind to be most successful.
Maybe a little bit of light for Jalen Polk. On October 20th, head coach Gerard Mayo also said, "We need more from Jalen Polk. We need more concentration. He'll be a good player in this league. He's just got to continue to work at it." I think it was Sam Sherman. Somebody tweeted out before in the Week 7 game during the warm-ups. And there's a video of Jalen Polk just walking with his gloves, and he dropped one of his gloves, and felt like this is just part of the Jalen Polk experience. The guy can't catch a football, and now he's having trouble holding onto his gloves. Help. 0.45 yards per route run by Jalen Polk. That is good for number wide receiver 102 in that department. It's bad. It's bad. You would think it can't get much worse, but it could if they reduce his playing time. It kind of sounded from press conferences that they might scale back his work a little bit in the hopes that, okay, just need some time, and then eventually he'll get the hang of it. But bad vibes in this Patriots receiver room. You've got Kendrick Bourne saying, "Hey man, there are guys on this team that they're staying up all night. They have bad diets. They're just eating whatever." And he didn't specifically name anyone, but you'd have to think that the receiver saying this, you know, probably good chance that it's a receiver or that it's a player in the receiver room. Then you've got Kayshon Boutte, who is complaining. He's growing tired of having to ask for the ball. Javon Baker is a ghost, I think. Have not seen, heard anything Javon Baker related. This is a guy who was promising that he would make people in wheelchairs stand up, and he's nowhere to be found. It's the classic faith healer grift. Los Angeles Rams, we touched on this, but here is the video of head coach Sean McVay on whether Cooper Kupp will have a full workload on Thursday night. Hey, that's tonight.
And then with Cooper, you said you hope he plays on Thursday. Would that be a normal workload for him when you talk about the return?
That's to be determined. I think, we're just getting in, as you guys know, it's a much more accelerated schedule. So we'll kind of put our first, second, and third down plans together today, and then, get some walkthroughs with the guys tomorrow, and then actually try to get a little bit of a practice on Wednesday. So that'll be something that as we're putting it together and really diving into it, we'll have a better feel for, but definitely excited to have him back.
Okay, so he is off the injury report, but we didn't get any further word on what Cooper Kupp's workload will be like on Thursday night. So, classic, we'll see. How about Denver? How about head coach Sean Payton talking about rookie wide receiver Troy Franklin?
Hey, Sean, as Troy Franklin becomes more involved in the offense, just what sort of growth have you noticed in his game over the past few weeks?
I think there's a confidence, not only in what he's doing, but confidence in playing at this level. And you certainly see it week to week. He's someone that runs well. He knows how to separate. And I think it's part of being a young player, but for him, particularly for him as a receiver, finding that role. He's playing a lot of Z for us, sometimes in the slot, but I think he's progressing pretty quickly.
Yeah, progressing pretty quickly. So he was inactive the first game of the season. And then the next 4 weeks, 20% of snaps, 25, 31, 17. And then in weeks 6 and 7, 65%, 51%. So big jump in offensive snap percentage for Troy Franklin. Has that shower narrative with quarterback Bo Nix. They played together at Oregon. And yeah, this guy is clearly ahead of Marvin Mims. Kind of similar-ish players. And it seems that Troy Franklin has beaten him out, which some beat writers said had no chance of happening. When we were back in training camp, said this is Marvin Mims' season. Marvin Mims is the guy. Troy Franklin, not close. Maybe that was the case at the time, but that is no longer the case here in Denver. The question is, how startable is he? And right now, not very startable. This is not a great offense. And Bo Nix is doing some things with his legs, but it's hard to trust a pass catcher here. Streamable in a tough spot. Okay. In a good matchup. I could see that. If you're desperate, little Troy Franklin action, but not some startable guy on a weekly basis yet. Maybe that ends up developing. Think maybe more of a better dynasty asset. Maybe something blossoms there, but not sure about this season. Speaking of not sure about, Arizona Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon talking about Marvin Harrison Jr.'s quiet week 7.
Going back to Marv, when you watch him, how much do you attribute to just being a rookie and learning the NFL and kind of the differences in the game? And then maybe what else have you seen from him? Is it maybe just technique, or how do you kind of look at that percentages of what he's doing well versus what he needs work on?
Yeah, I think he's doing some things extremely well, and then Drew and myself, we give him things to be cognizant of throughout the week. Let's improve this week, or this day. I think he's very self-aware and consistent, so he typically improves those things. And he's how many games in now? 7 games in. It's a learning experience for him too. The reps that he's getting, he'll continue to learn. He gets better. We'll find ways to get him the ball, keep getting him the ball, but the touchdown to Dortch, that happens because they're doubling them. So, am I like panic alert that Marvin didn't go off last night? No, I mean, he's impacting the game in a positive way to help us win.
Jonathan Gannon may not be panic alerting, but Marvin Harrison Jr. managers are certainly panic alerting right now. They're pressing that button. The help, I've fallen, and help, I've drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. and I can't get up. I can't win a weekly matchup. Averaging 5 targets a game over his last 3 games, but he only has a total of 5 catches for 57 yards, 0 touchdowns. That's not what we signed up for when we drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. We signed up for a stud. We signed up for someone that Kyler Murray would throw the ball to and be on the same page with. Just such an odd situation there. And what's really infuriating is seeing the clips of Marvin Harrison Jr. streaking wide open down the field. No one within 10 yards of him. And in a situation where Kyler Murray could throw him the ball, it's not even like, oh, he's scrambling. He's on the far side of the field. His eyes are elsewhere. No, he could have gotten the ball to him, and he didn't. So they're not on the same page, and part of that is, player chemistry. Part of that is coaching, putting these guys in the right spots and situations, and scheming stuff up, and knowing, okay, there's a good chance might be open here, might be able to do a little something here. No, man, it's just feels like everyone's kind of doing their own thing in Arizona. We were promised better this season. It's happened in, one game? Not great. All right, finally. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This show is like 30, it's like a third Tampa Bay. I've got a couple videos left here. First, this is head coach Todd Bowles on his new triumvirate of receivers with Chris Godwin out for the season. Mike Evans sidelined probably for a few weeks. Here's Bowles on Trey Palmer, Jalen McMillan, and Sterling Shepard.
Tell me what you think you'll get from Palmer and from McMillan with increased reps for each guy. They're bringing something different, right?
They bring something different. It'll be great because we have to tweak our offense now to what they bring to the table as opposed to what Mike and Chris brings to the table. So it'll be a challenge for the coaches as well as the players. But I'm excited to see them play. I think they have more that meets the eye that we haven't seen yet. So I'm excited to see them.
What about Sterling Shepard? I mean, for his track record, he does have that relationship previously with Baker, and it was a long time ago. But there is some palpable chemistry that's out there, and it has resulted in already a touchdown this season. Just how could you lean on that and his experience going forward?
Well, he's been a heck of a receiver in this league. When healthy, he can make plays all over the field. So we've seen that briefly the last couple of weeks. He'll be counted on more to do that, counted on more to help the young guys come along, and we expect him to play well.
Okay, and before we talk about the Bucs wide receivers, one more clip here. This is Todd Bowles on what rookie wide receiver Jalen McMillan needs to work on.
What's been your message for Jalen McMillan going forward, Todd? And what part of his game does he need to work on right now?
Just getting on the same page and getting the routes down and understanding coverages a little better. My message was play like he did in college. Play just like he did in college. He was a great player in college, and we think he's a great player now. He just hasn't had the experience yet.
Play like he did in college. They do like Jalen McMillan. They've talked him up quite a bit, especially during training camp. Showed a really big connection with Baker Mayfield in camp. And recently, gotten a comment here and there from Bowles and offensive coordinator Liam Cohen that need to focus on some of these small things a little more for Jalen McMillan. And but that he's a rookie and he'll be fine. Also, Bowles said about a week or so ago, talking about, actually I think it was a couple weeks ago, but how the Jalen McMillan missing time with a hamstring injury, I believe he missed 2 games and of course, missed more practice, but saying that missing that sort of time as a rookie is like a lifetime and that he's got to catch back up to speed now. So saw a dip when he returned in snaps and saw more last game, and now with Chris Godwin out for the season, Mike Evans out for a while, he's going to be out there in a full-time role. The Bucs use a lot of 11 personnel, so what is it going to look like? Because Trey Palmer has played in the slot. Jalen McMillan has played in the slot. Sterling Shepard has played in the slot. And Jalen McMillan played, I believe, about 2/3 of his snaps in the slot in college last year. Whoever gets that slot role, which Chris Godwin was playing, that's going to be pretty valuable. I'm hoping it's Jalen McMillan. I think it's probably going to be Sterling Shepard because they do value Jalen McMillan's versatility, his ability to play different spots. Shepard a little bit more of a slot guy. And then Palmer probably playing on the outside, but could see all three of them kind of getting mixed in through there like they were this season. But I do think Jalen McMillan gets a good amount of targets in this offense now. He legitimately could have had like 3 or 4 touchdowns in week 1. He did have one, and there was one that was a little tad bit overthrown, but McMillan got his fingertips on the ball, probably should have had that one. There's another one where he's like wide open, deep in the end zone, and Mayfield overthrows him. And then there's another one where he just blasts by the guy around like the opponent's 10-yard line. He's about to be wide open in the end zone, and the defensive player just grabs him to make sure that he couldn't get a wide open touchdown. So that was his week 1. Very eventful week 1. And be honest, hasn't looked great since then. And it does seem to be kind of this, mental hump focusing kind of stuff that guys with like Jalen Polk are kind of dealing with, this rookie stuff. We'll see if he snaps out of it. If he's able to. could be a very, very, very valuable role for Jalen McMillan in Tampa Bay, because the guy is a deep threat. Absolutely. And he's made some big plays this year, not just a touchdown. He had a really big sideline grab near the end zone earlier this season when they needed it. He's a good player with, should we say, red flags? He's a good player who could be doing better right now. I think the potential is there, and certainly the opportunity is there now. Hopefully, he will capitalize on that. All right, that is going to do it for today's show. Check us out on Twitter at CoachSpeakIndex. You definitely want to get in our Discord. Just insane amounts of information, valuable information in there that doesn't go on the Twitter, doesn't end up on the podcast, but it's super valuable. I'm watching, like I mentioned at the top, every single press conference. It's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. It's, basically waking up till going to bed of watching pressers and putting all the valuable information from those press conferences into the Discord. I'm very good at curating this information, so you'll definitely want to check it out. It is our pinned tweet on Twitter. It's a Patreon that takes you and connects you to the Discord. And again, I have no problem saying it. I don't think there is anyone better out there at finding the important information in press conferences and distilling that down into actionable information for you guys. So check us out, and good luck this week. Sarah, take us out.